Have you ever thought of what happens to your trash after it's picked up? Do you think we will run out of room to dispose of it? What happens to landfill sites when they close? To answer these questions, we first must understand how it started. Past landfills. Did you know that waste management and lack thereof has a long history? Not many think about how communities and societies of the past have dealt with their waste and garbage. From the earliest years of civilization to the 1400s, people largely lived in filth. Waste disposal was done, if at all, by being dumped at the most convenient area, buried, or burned in open dumps. After the 1400s, more concern arose about waste management. Efforts were made to dispose of waste by using large incinerators and burn plants. It's not until the 1900s that landfills are used. Early landfills replace open dumps, but still remain unsanitary due to the lack of compacting and covering of waste. Around 1920, the idea of sanitary landfills grew in popularity. No one knows exactly who came up with the idea. Some claim it came from Britain. Others say that sanitary landfills were being used in such places as Illinois before 1920. The use of landfills took off in 1945. Since then, thousands have been created. Landfills, even sanitary and modern, still pose harm to us and our environment. This includes the buildup and release of methane into the air and leachate, which can contaminate our water. Regulations. In 1965, the Solid Waste Disposal Act was created. This act allowed the government to authorize landfill research and also provide state solid waste grants. In 1979, the Environmental Protection Agency was created. In 1979, the Clean Air Act was also created and open dumping was prohibited. In 1986, Rhode Island enacted the first statewide mandatory recycling laws. In 1991, the EPA released RCRA Subtitle D landfill standards that included requirements for location, groundwater protection and monitoring, and post-closure care. There are more regulations on landfills that are represented here. Parts of a modern landfill: groundwater, compacted clay, plastic liner, leach-in collection pipe, geotextile mat, gravel, drainage layer, soil layer, old cells, new cells, and leach-in pond are represented in this crosscut of the modern landfill. Why are landfills built this way? Modern landfills are built with liners to prevent toxic chemicals from entering the soil and contaminating the groundwater. Drainage systems are installed in modern-day landfills to prevent the rainwater from seeping through the trash to prevent water contamination. Leach-in collection system is built in the modern landfill to catch the rainwater that makes it past the drain system into the landfill to prevent groundwater contamination. Methane gas is produced by the breakdown of trash in landfills. The methane produced by landfills has been known to cause serious health hazards. By collecting the gas from the landfills, there is less of a health hazard and the gas can be used to generate electricity. When trash decomposes in landfills, it creates methane gas. The methane gas rises to the top of the landfill and is collected in pipes. The methane is burned to produce heat or generate electricity. When a landfill is full, it needs a cap. A cap or cover on a landfill consists of a plastic cover and 2 feet of dirt. Landfills need to be capped to prevent air pollution and to prevent birds and rodents from spreading the trash around. The future of landfills. What we are presently doing will affect what we will do in the future to functioning and closed landfills. Landfills are filling up and there are few options for building new ones. The EPA is supporting region, state, and tribal partners at Superfund sites and brownfields to develop new methods to better categorize, monitor, and treat the contamination. Some areas the EPA is working on: land and soil contamination, groundwater, nitrogen, radiation, underground storage tanks, and reducing greenhouse gases. Closed landfills are and will continue to be monitored for gases and contamination to groundwater. Research in future technologies may give new life to some of these landfills by becoming energy generators. We have been harvesting landfill gas since the 1970s and continue to find ways to improve these methods. We are also harvesting the sun's energy from solar farms on old landfills. As open land becomes less available, some sites will be redeveloped into industrial, recreational, and housing as they have been in the past. Here are some examples of old landfill uses. The Evergreen Solar Farm, almost 3 acres under perfect conditions, can produce 550 kilowatts. The Shoreline Amphitheater was built in 1986 in Mountain View, California, on top of an old municipal landfill. New York is currently working on building a park on the former Fresh Kill landfill on Staten Island. The city is taking one more step by expecting to make a lot of money off this park by extracting the methane to make energy to sell back to the national grid. There are building risks: possible contamination from leachant to soil and groundwater, the cover layer is too thin and or contaminated, landfill gases, and unstable surfaces as the waste settles. Reducing waste. We can contribute to decreasing the amount of waste in our landfill and environment by recycling plastic, metal, glass, and paper, reusing donated unwanted items by used items, composting foods, vegetation, soiled paper products, buying recycled goods or buying products made with recycled materials, and preventing waste by buying less and reusing what we already have. Will this make a difference? San Francisco is working to become the country's first zero-waste city by 2020. They are almost there. They have eliminated 78% of their garbage from going to the landfills. It was accomplished through education and mandatory ordinances. Other cities like Boulder, Colorado, Seattle, Washington, Austin, Texas, and a handful more have similar but not as extreme goals as San Francisco. There are also other countries like Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom that have cities that have adopted some form of zero waste goals. Waste management has come a long ways from the days of open dumping to the potential of zero waste. Right now, landfills and incinerators are our options. Reducing waste means the landfills will not fill up as fast. Zero waste is a big commitment, however, we think it is achievable. If everyone participates in recycling, Minnesota can also become efficient in achieving zero waste.